Do you know what the difference between watching dramatized versions of decades old murders is on the ID channel and listening to a podcast about the latest murder, or watching a YouTube video, watching someone do their makeup and trying to solve a murder mystery? I've been thinking about it. Like, what is the difference between those two things, and why I think the consumption of true crime the way it is now is more harmful than it was before. Like, before the internet. Like, what has the internet done to make consuming true crime so weird? Like these people that are watching true crime every day, listening to podcasts about recent crime, recent incidences of crime, and like, what is the right way to consume this sort of media? Like, don't get me wrong, I love true crime. True crime is something that I am also fascinated by, and I understand I understand that the core of this fascination is not really a negative thing, but there's a point, like, it makes sense why people are so, look, I don't know what to do about this light right here. There's not much I can do. So I hope it makes the video look cuter, actually. But what was I saying? There's not much that it makes sense for humans to be so curious about the death of others. I don't know how else to say it, because I feel like true crime at its core is really just part of the fascination of, like, as people, we want to know the unknown. Like, I think that's like a core, like, of humanity, wanting to know more about a situation. And a lot of times true crime is cold cases, or cases that were cold, or just wanting to know what happened to other people in their final moments. I don't think that that is a bad thing, but it's the consumption of this media that is, the consumption of true crime as it is right now is not right. Like, there has to be an ethical way to consume true crime, and to still fuel that curiosity, to still have people engaged in real life situations without having this stuff dramatized and really put out, like, as something to like, because I'm even calling it media, and that is where that problem is. We've taken the human part out of the true crime. We've taken the humanity away from the victims and what they have suffered, what their families have suffered. And also, we've taken the real, true, like, people that are, like, we've taken the real people out of the situation. And I think that is why it's an issue. Like, you don't want people to become a number. Like, you never, like, becoming a number is a bad thing. And I feel like that's what true crime does to every single victim who is already a number, every single family who's already a part of those numbers of people that have experienced the loss and like a traumatic loss, right? So these people are already a number, but now, on top of being a number, they have multiple YouTube videos about what happened to them, multiple TikToks about what happened to them, with scary music in the back playing to like make the situation even worse. Because like when I was watching the ID channel with my grandmother, like I was home from school, we're watching the ID channel because she just loves true crime. Like it's true crime isn't new, right? So she's watching these TV shows about people that have been, you know, people that have lost their lives. And somehow looking back on that, it seemed more right than what we're going through now. And I think part of it is how TV is made. We have people making careers out of just talking about other people being killed. And I think like it's not bad to talk about these things, but then it's like, what is really going on here? Like I seen on Twitter this podcast, this true crime podcast was asking what demographic do you like to hear more? Like, what do you like the victims to be more in their true crime stuff? Like, what demographic should the victims be from? Like, what is more entertaining? And it was white, black, and indigenous. Those were the three options, right? And then the true crime podcaster got mad at other people for getting mad at them for saying that's not a question that should be even asked. Like, regardless of what demographic these people are from, they are still people and they were still killed, right? But like consuming the podcast itself, like just hearing that story of this person's murder is one thing, right? But I think that's the problem. That's the problem. We're hearing the stories of these people's murders, but we're not hearing the stories of their lives. And it's actually to the point where, like, the Jeffrey Dahmer's stuff was only about, like, 30 years ago, right? 30? It wasn't that long ago. Like, the family members are still alive. The people involved in all of those situations are still very much alive. Like the people in the surrounding area that were affected are still alive, right? Those cases from the 1850s, the Jack the Ripper, none of those people are alive. None of those people that were involved in that are alive at all. So we may never know who Jack the Ripper was. We will never know. But we also didn't know. We didn't know any of those people then. But there's people around today that still know and are still close to those families that are being affected. Like I've been seeing so many TikToks about the Idaho 4 or whatever. I don't really know much about the situation, but I do know it only happened a couple weeks ago. And I do know that people are going to the site of where everything happened as if like it's a museum or something. Like this place is an active crime scene. This is not like you visiting it 100 years after the incident has occurred. Like, this is active. These people, their families are still mourning, their friends are still mourning, and the culprit has not been caught, and it's still ongoing. Like, how could you justify being in that situation in that moment? And that's what it really is. Like, like these people are not showing any care for the people in this. They have become characters. And like I'm like TikTok edits of these people the moments before their lives were taken from them. They have become characters in a story. And I'm like, if you want to read about crime, if you want to learn, if you want to read, if you want to hear about a murder mystery, and you want characters to root for and people to like, you need to start reading fiction. True crime is not fiction, and it's being treated like fiction. Like, y'all need to start reading creepypastas. Stop dabbling with people's real lives if you cannot separate the two. If you're reading a creepypasta, nobody's about to get mad at you for saying um, Jeff the Killer is cute. Like, nobody's gonna care about that because you know what? Jeff the Killer is fake. Saying Jeffrey Dahmer is cute is a bad thing. Like, why are we. That's a killer. That's a murderer. That's a criminal. A serial killer. You're like, oh, he's so attractive. No, you know who's attractive? Jeff the Killer and Eyeless Jack. Not Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. Those are murderers. They've killed people. That makes them ugly in the heart. You know, like that's the issue. That's what I'm getting to. That's basically what I need to say. The ethical consumption, you can only really consume true crime if you're understanding that these are real people in real situations, and the victims and the perpetrators are people, regardless if they're here right now or not, regardless if it happened 50 years ago, yesterday, or 100 years ago. The mystery of it all will, for the most part, stay a mystery. Like, I think true crime is good in keeping a lot of cases alive, which is a good thing because some cold cases will stay cold forever. And true crime has had a hand in making sure people keep their attention on these crimes and helping the families find like peace, which is a good thing, right? So we have that good aspect to it, which is ethical, that is good, that is helpful to everyone. And then we have treating these people's real life stories, real life incidents as just a part of a story. They have become a character, and their death has become a scene to be replayed over and over and over and over again. And that is what it is. And people don't understand how to separate those two things, how it can be good and how it can be bad. And that's the problem. And the only thing I have to give to people is start reading fiction. If you cannot handle real people's lives with care, then you need to step away from the true crime. The true crime podcasters need to step away from the true crime and start reading some horror stories, murder mystery stories. You can give them the same delivery and everything. I guarantee nobody will be mad, because as long as these people don't know if it's real or not, they will treat it the exact same way. And you can be like, based off a true story, inspired by a true event, whatever. If people want to hear a murder mystery, there you go. That's all they want to hear. That's really what it is. True crime is just a more real feeling version. If you don't ever tell someone that this murder mystery story, if it's real or not, like if they don't know if it's real or not, if they look it up and they can't figure out if it's real or not, that will still satisfy that need. Like, there's a need to know the unknown of reality that a regular like fiction murder mystery would not give. And I think that's part of why true crime and murder mystery fiction exist like together in like the same environment. But I think a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTubers, maybe try delivering your fantasies. I mean, yeah, try delivering these fiction stories of fictional death and destruction the same way you're delivering the real true crime that's happened. And I guarantee like it will still be received the same way, but without the human cost, without that harmful, um without hurting the people that are still here, without damaging the image of the people that have experienced it. And that's really all I want to say. Let's do the crime murder mystery consumption without hurting real people and their stories. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and read some creepypasta. Please leave the real people alone.